again on Monday by the Kochi police. Let's now move on and talk about another big story of the day. Viewers, BlueSmart, that used to be literally on the speed dial list as an improvement over Ola and Uber, that became the darling of the cab ride hailing world, is today being seen as a setback for India's startup ecosystem. Has this story not proved what Union Minister Piyush Goyal said right in some ways? Well, BlueSmart's cabs are stranded, employees are clueless, and founders are allegedly missing in action. The promoters of BlueSmart, the Jaggi brothers, Anmol and Puneet Singh Jaggi, are accused of siphoning off loan funds meant for the company meant to purchase electric vehicles. They are accused of misleading investors, lenders, and regulators. The interim order from SEBI not only restricts them from accessing capital markets, but also prevents them from holding key positions in any listed company for the time being. As per SEBI, EV loans for BlueSmart were spent on uber luxurious flat in Gurugram and on foreign trips. So imagine this. Startup founders who positioned themselves as clean tech poster boys used Gensol engineering as their personal piggy bank. And we are getting reactions from other people as well from India's startup ecosystem. Shark Tank judge Aman Gupta of Boat, in fact, has put out a long post on social media platform X, and he has said that this has also dented trust in the ecosystem. You'll now hear, yaad hai BlueSmart ke saath kya hua tha. He even mentioned, और बचपन में पेरेंट्स ने क्या सिखाया था, जो भी करो दिल से करो पर गलत मत करो. Same rule applies in business too. Clearly a message that even he is trying to send via this post. Let's also get a sense from some of the other people from the startup ecosystem as to how do they see what happened with BlueSmart and what does it really tell us about what's really happening as far as Indian startups are concerned. To discuss it, I'm joined by Mahesh Murthy, founder Exceed Space. Good evening. Thank you very much for joining us here on Times Now. Mahesh Murthy, I want to straight away ask you one question, because a couple of days ago, when Union Minister Piyush Goyal raised an issue about the startups in our country, we heard a lot of people slamming him, questioning him, but he essentially tried to question the direction that our startups are taking. So in a way, what has happened with BlueSmart, do you believe he has been proven right? Maybe something somewhere is amiss?
I don't think so. If you look at what the minister said, he was talking about the fact that Indian startups don't tend to, go after deep tech. They tend to go after shallow tech. Actually, interestingly, BlueSmart, is an EV company. It's not just a delivery company. So they were doing something kind of halfway there. All right. I also think it was a case of, I've heard a lot of comments, it's a case of the pot calling the kettle black. The fact that there's somebody from the political system who says, hey, startups are also corrupt is interesting. It's just that the startups are simply learning, from the seniors elsewhere what they could do. It's not what they should do. All right. So I don't think it's got anything to do with what he talked about. Is there still an issue that we are not focusing on deep tech? Yes, but some of it is certainly the fault of the entrepreneurs. But a lot of it is also the fault of the government ecosystem. We run a space company. It's next to impossible to get business from the government of India for anything we do, or to get any kind of support from anything we do, because there's no money for anything, right? So we have to, in fact, look outside India for what we do, which has been the common grounds that everybody has. So it's a bit of a blame game going on, and neither of these is the solutions, nor does Mr. Goyal have the solution, nor does somebody from Shark Tank have a solution, because interestingly enough, you mentioned Shark Tank, and interestingly, one of the other judges on Shark Tank was somebody who siphoned off a huge amount of money from Bharat Pay, simply because, he had his wife, you know what the entire story. Every employee in Bharat Pay was apparently hired by his wife, and he sent 3 months' salary for every employee home, to his wife's company. So it's kind of a, koi doodh ka dhula nahi hai, behti ganga mein sab log haath dho rahe hain. There isn't really anybody who is coming off shining out here on either side of the fence.
It's interesting, how you gave us your interpretation of what Union Minister Piyush Goyal had to say. But why specifically I raised that issue? Because if you hear exactly what the minister was talking about, of course, he gave an example of how some rich kids are only making ice creams or cookies and things like that and calling themselves as startups, entrepreneurs, etc. He essentially tried to question the direction that we are taking, and why I compared it to this example. Do you think now a lot of founders, I'm not saying everybody, I mean a lot of them perhaps are in this business, are getting into the startup world to make quick bucks? They feel because that's the conversation I had with another startup founder in the afternoon today, and the sense he gave us was that these days the conversation is more about getting funding for an interesting business idea. It's easy to get funding because India is an attractive market in the startup world specifically. And then once they make quick bucks, they want to just exit without even thinking about what's happening. Hasn't that been the case in this BlueSmart story too? 6,400 EVs they were supposed to purchase. They misled the regulators, the investors. They purchased some 4,704 odd EVs, 262 crore rupees diverted, disappeared, used for personal luxuries as per SEBI order. So does it not say something about the mindset here?
Hina, let me stop you right there. All right. I think first of all, you must understand that the company committing the fraud was Gensol, which is not a startup. And while BlueSmart is a startup, Gensol was leasing EVs to BlueSmart, took the loans. The promoters of Gensol, which is not a startup, took a lot of the money away, and so it's a bit of a fine distinction, but we'll keep it at that. The second thing that I think the Union Minister was saying was again about the fact that people. It's first of all, it's not easy to get funding. I tell you, in my last 25 years investing in companies, I've probably seen 25,000 business plans. I've invested in 70 companies, right? So that's the kind of ratio out there. So yes. It's not so easy. Third, even when you talk about who's people looking to make fast money, tell me who isn't, Hina. Tell me which politician is not into making fast money. All right. Tell me which politician says, no, I'm going to be here for the next 30 years and not make any money. Everybody knows they've got 4 years to make money, and they make hay when the sun shines. All right. So let's not try to.
But Mahesh Murthy, what explains using money that should have been used for purchasing electric vehicles for your business? You secured loan for that, and you used it for investing in a house in Gurugram, for Forex, for your credit card bills. I mean, come on. Can you justify something like this?
Oh, nothing at all. I'm not justifying anything, whether it is this fraud done by this startup or frauds done by the largest companies in India, or how a 73-story skyscraper got built on Waqf land. These are all business stories of where money got taken out of somewhere and put somewhere else. All right? Let's not just blame the startups for it. Everybody is corrupt, whether it's the politicians or the big businesses who are trying to be, holier than thou. Or even the investors, or even the startups. So there's corruption everywhere. Like I said, the people in the startups merely learn from others out there. Koi doodh se dhula nahi hai.
I agree.
It is not like the politicians are.
I agree. Everyone out there is to make quick bucks, but yes, I want to now ask you the impact, the fallout of what has happened with BlueSmart. Because when I started my introduction, I said it used to be a darling of the, EV, you can say the cab hailing world, because it came as an alternative to Ola and Uber. It was rising, it was shining, it gave us hope. And see what has happened. One, don't you think this will erode the trust of those who are waiting to invest, those who are waiting to put money in interesting ideas?
I've been investing in India since 1999. This is my 26th year. All right. It has not done anything to my trust that I had 26 years ago. I've known for the last 26 years, or even as long as I've lived my life in India, that I've got to really watch out for the corrupt entrepreneur. All right. And it's been there right from the beginning. So there's nothing new that people who are in investing, it's not suddenly a wake up call. Oh my God, that there are thieves in the startup world. There are thieves everywhere. All right. We all know it. I think that's the one thing I want to say is, you've got to be a very naive investor if you suddenly wake up and say, oh my God, people are stealing money. I didn't know. Everybody knows. I mean, if you got like a bit of wisdom in your head, you know everybody does it all the time. What will happen now, though, is that the funds that let people steal, I can also tell you that the funds know that people were stealing. No investor in that company can say, I didn't know they were stealing. Everybody knows. Every investor in Byju's knows they were stealing.
So
Every
is it
investor in
like you
Flipkart knows they were
scratch
stealing.
my back, I scratch your back? Quid
Oh,
pro
I
quo?
keep quiet. You know what? Because most of the investors here are employees of funds. It's not their own money. Like, hey, you know what? As long as I can show an up round, get my next money, forget it. Yeah, it's like water under the bridge. He took some money, I took some money, big deal. You know, tomato, right? The point is, at some point, somebody's going to wake up and hopefully this one incident will help people wake up and say, you know, I can't let people steal as much as they were as they were going to steal before.
But,
All right.
but
So
Mahesh
theft has
Murthy,
been rife. Theft has been rife in the startup ecosystem. All
okay.
right, whether you talk about a lady who stole 100 crores from some company, or a gent who's bought a house in golf links for 120 crores while he gets a very
So the
small
sense
salary.
I get is that you believe that this is not really going to completely erode trust in the future
The
entrepreneurs,
trust was
founders,
already
etc.
it was already terrible to start with. We
Okay.
simply have to learn to manage it better. It's
Okay.
not like suddenly trust is bad.
Okay. Now, my next question is about the impact something like this has. Fraud has happened. Something has gone wrong, and this has put lives of, thousands of people, on the edge. I mean, there are so many drivers that were linked to BlueSmart. There were so many employees that were linked to the company. Today, they are in a very, very difficult situation. What happens to them? Can we allow something like this to happen because of somebody's personal indulgences?
So this is nothing different from, the lives that are at stake when a bridge falls. There's nothing different from the lives that go away when another railway train crashes or another railway line, goes away into nothingness. It is a tragedy. All right, but all I want to keep saying is it's kind of unfair for you to try to point out that the startups are suddenly the bogey boys. Come on, we're in one of the most corrupt countries in the world. Let's come on. Yeah, every indicator of corruption says
But
that
Mahesh
we're in the
Murthy,
top 10% of
if we
corrupt countries in the
know
world.
that we
Let's
have a
deal with it.
problem, if we know we have a problem, shouldn't we
Yes.
do something to fix it? Why are we
Yeah, of
waiting
course.
for a tragedy to happen? Each time a bridge
So what has
collapses
SEBI
or a
done?
building
SEBI has exactly
collapses,
fixed it.
we ask questions here on Times Now of all the politicians as well, of the state governments as well, of the center, as to why could this not be averted? So same question I'm asking you, using the same yardstick. If you are aware of the problem, what is being done to solve it?
So first of all, I want to say that the difference between this and any public listed company is this is private money going into a private company which is stolen by a private individual. All right? It's not the public's money. I want to tell you that. There are many, many more cases of public fraud or public listed companies being defrauded where suddenly SEBI comes in. So this is private money. It's like one guy, a rich guy gives his money to another guy who steals money. All right, till somebody goes to court, actually there's almost no, locus standi. The fact that SEBI has chosen to move in is unusual, but it's good. It's fine.
No, why is it unusual?
Founders,
SEBI in its order has very clearly said that it was a public listed company, got loan from public finance institutions,
now, please
and
remember, which was it? It was not the startup which was a public listed company.
no, Gensol
SEBI went
got
against
it.
Gensol.
Gensol got it, and through
Yeah, I want to
Gensol,
once
it was
again come.
BlueSmart and their
No, one
founders who
second,
used
please, no.
it.
BlueSmart is a startup.
I know.
Gensol is the established old media company. So, Hina, you're getting really
That's
confused. Don't
what
blame the startups here.
BlueSmart was using perhaps Gensol for.
No, it was a Gensol owner of the public limited company, which is an old economy company, like every other big public listed stock that was doing fraud. Please understand this. The fraud was done by the old economy company, not by the new economy
Not by
company.
Jaggi brothers, not by the
Jaggi
founders,
brothers who ran
not by the
Gensol.
founders, not by the founders of BlueSmart.
Of Gensol. Ma'am, which company did the money get stolen from?
No, you tell me. Jaggi brothers
You
are
tell
not
me,
to be
if
held
you're aware of the
responsible in
facts of the
this.
case,
We should
the
not
money
ask the
got stolen.
questions.
The money got stolen from Gensol.
Who
Please
used
understand.
that money? Jaggi brothers.
The owners of Gensol. The owners of Gensol use it. Please understand. Gensol took
They have
900
nothing to do with
crores.
BlueSmart, you're saying? The Jaggi brothers?
They're also the promoters of BlueSmart. But please understand, ma'am, if you're aware of how this works, I mean, if you're just trying to blame startups without knowledge of the facts,
I'm not
sure why
blaming
you called me.
startups at all.
Ma'am, if you-
We had you on the show today because we
Yes,
wanted
ma'am.
to
So I'm here to
understand,
say-
we wanted to understand
No, you don't
what
understand,
this
ma'am.
is
You're really not
likely to
looking to
do
understand.
to the startup ecosystem. I
Ma'am, it has
quoted
nothing to do with
somebody
the
who
startup
represents
ecosystem.
the sector. And
It
I'm
has
trying
nothing
to
to do
get
with the
your
startup.
point of view.
Sure.
But how
If you
can we
want my-
say that Jaggi
But if
brothers, the founders, have
Ma'am,
got nothing to do with what happened
ma'am, please
because they
understand.
used the money?
If you want my point of view, are you willing to listen to it? Are you going to interrupt with your, premeditated point of
But
view?
we need to
Are you
tell
going
our viewers facts also, Mr. Murthy.
Yeah, then you should be aware of the facts, ma'am. If you're sitting there, you should be aware of the facts. I will
That
tell
is
you
why
again.
telling the facts to the viewers. Yes.
Do you want my point of view, or do you have a point of view that you just want to amplify? What do you
Go
want, ma'am?
ahead.
Yeah, so please let me stop you right there. Let me tell you the facts that you may not be aware of. First of all, the fraud. Gensol took 900 crores as loan from a bank to buy some cars and lease it to another company.
6,400 electric vehicles. Gensol took
Ma'am, I'm aware. Are you going to
977
let me
crores.
speak? Are you going to let me speak? Are you going to come here for your point of view? If it's your point of view, you don't need me. If it's my point of view, please do me the respect of listening to what I'm saying.
I'm just telling you,
have an
since you
issue
were
with my
struggling with
facts,
the numbers there, so I'm telling you
I'm not struggling with
6,400
any
electric
numbers.
vehicles.
You're struggling with the facts. You're unaware of the facts. Let me tell you, because you're quite unaware, this is my business. It's not your business.
Okay.
All right? So Gensol took 900 crores ostensibly to buy cars to rent out to BlueSmart. Now, instead of using 900 crores to buy cars, they used 600 crores to buy cars, and they took 250 crores and put it in their own pocket. All right. So BlueSmart is not the aggrieved party here. Gensol, which is a public listed company, which also, by the way, amazing feat of bad governance, has shared the same promoters with BlueSmart. But it's not BlueSmart that did the theft. It's Gensol that did the theft.
Okay.
It took 900 crores, and the founders of Gensol put 250 in their own pocket. That's the issue out here.
So
I want
Jaggi
first of all
brothers, as BlueSmart founders, you're saying had nothing to do with BlueSmart shutting down business in India.
Please understand, they could have given the money to BlueSmart, RedSmart, YellowSmart. The fact is, Gensol stole the money.
Because the founder stole the money, sir, today BlueSmart is shutting its shop in India. There are drivers, thousands of them who are losing their jobs. There are thousands of employees who are losing their jobs. The offices are absolutely shut. But you think we should get into the technicality of it? We should not consider Jaggi brothers as Jaggi brothers. We should not look at Jaggi brothers as the founders of BlueSmart as the company. We should say that Gensol has committed a fraud. Are you trying to give a clean chit to BlueSmart here?
I would really like you to have a clue. Please read up. All right. Jaggi brothers are also originally the founders of Gensol. The Jaggi brothers are at fault. They are the founders of Gensol. They are also the founders of a much newer company called BlueSmart. But the fraud was done in Gensol by the Jaggi brothers. It wasn't done in a startup. It was done in the old economy company by the same guys. I just wanted to say it's a technicality.
I'm questioning the founders here, the people who committed fraud.
So you're questioning the founders of the old economy company. Great. Let's question the founders of many old economy companies, whether it is Videocon, I'm very glad you're questioning founders of old economy companies like Reliance, Videocon, and so on and so forth. It's great. Let's talk some more about the fraud done by many old economy companies.
Why should we not talk about Jaggi brothers?
Because they are the founders of the old economy companies.
They're also the founders of BlueSmart.
That's okay, but the fraud was done in Gensol.
It doesn't matter.
So if you want to talk about, there are frauds done in new economy companies. Baiju is a great example. All right? Flipkart is a great example. There are great frauds done in new economy companies. It's just that in this case, you were a little misplaced. You want to talk about fraud in new economy companies? A great example is Baiju's. All right? 500 million missing. Great example. I'm not defending all startups. I'm just trying to correct your perception of the facts out here, which you're somewhat unaware of. All right. So I'm saying fraud happens everywhere. It happens in new economy companies. It happens in old economy companies. And I'm glad that this is a wake-up call for people in the old and the new economy sector. Both of them. All right?
That is exactly what I asked you, Mr. Murthy.
No. You are out here going up against new economy companies.
One second. I asked you about the impact. If we are aware of a problem, if we know that this exists as a problem, what should be done to fix it? Is my point, so that another such scandal doesn't happen. Who should be held accountable? Who should be held accountable so that something like this does not happen again?
It's very nice that you ask these questions. Let me tell you how the law works, if you're somewhat unaware of the concept. When there's two private companies who give money to each other under a private agreement called a venture capital investing agreement, if there is a default, there is a court of law. For that court of law to come in, there has to be a complainant. So if the person giving the money does not complain, the person taking the money goes away scot-free. Please understand, this is not public money. This is private money. One rich guy giving money to another rich guy, and somebody steals money. The answer is the aggrieved party has to go to court to file a complaint. In 99 out of 100 cases, the complaint is not filed. Because the guy giving the money says, forget it, nothing's going to happen in the courts. So if you want to find out what's going to happen, what's going to set it right, absolutely. For example, we have a court system which simply doesn't move. You know that. In fact, if every court in India stopped accepting cases, we could take 500 years just listening to the cases currently already there in the courts. So the issue is that we have a broken governance system, we have a broken judicial system, all right? And in the case of private funders giving money to private companies, it is also a broken system.
By the way, the loan here that we are talking about was not given by private funders, because it was given by two public sector enterprises who had given the loan of 977 crore rupees
to a public listed company.
To Gensol, a public listed company, which SEBI in its order, by the way, very clearly mentioned that it worked as if it was a proprietorship and not a public listed company. That's how they behave, because the same people who were running this company were the founders of another company which is called as BlueSmart, the shining star as far as the startup ecosystem is concerned. And that's the reason why today we are discussing this story. I'm completely out of time. It was an interesting conversation with you, Mr. Mahesh Murthy. Thank you very much for joining us here on Times Now. We'll slip into a very, very short break right now. More news and updates on the other side. Stay with us.